following podcast is a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be sent to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of You Can Call Me Al, whatever it is. Call me Al. Just got back off the plane from Fort Lauderdale. Before that we landed in Miami, was on our layover from Costa Rica. I spent 10 days in Costa Rica with my girlfriend and two friends from the gym, John Druckman and Patty Druckman. We had a good time. We made no plans whatsoever. I bought a one-way flight out to Costa Rica, and then just kind of winged it. I didn't even know the guy John lives in. He bought a house in Costa Rica. He spends like 6 months there. So when I told Ray Longo, I said, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. He said, you got to call John, who's, he grew up with Ray and hangs out, comes down to the gym all the time. He's like, you got to call Druckman. You got to call Drucky. He's probably going to be down there. Thank God I called Drucky, because we went down there and he knows everybody. He's like the mayor down there. He showed us around and we had a really good time. We went the first day we were there. We got there on the 27th of April, and on the 27th of April we went to 27 de Abril, which is 27th of April, is a town in Costa Rica. So we were in the 27th of April, on the 27th of April, and on the 27th of April, in 27th of April, they have a bullfight. And this bullfight was insane. Basically a handmade ring or arena, you would call it. And they just let these bulls, they packed the whole town. We were the only white people there. Everyone else was Costa Ricans. So we stuck out like sore thumbs, and they were like, what the heck are these guys doing here? A very local kind of thing, just the neighborhood gathers in and they do these bullfights. So the bull gets a bull rider's on there, the bull goes, and then the rider gets thrown off. And then once the rider gets thrown off, that's when the party starts. The band started playing crazy music, and people start running across, and they kind of antagonize the bull, and it's all about kind of who can get the closest sometimes, and they run across, and they say usually people get pretty banged up. It's a real party. Everyone's laughing the whole time, which was how it was when we were doing, when we were watching. I at the end, I said I had to get in there. I just hopped over. I sat on top of the fence and I hopped over, and I got just close enough to get a little scared. And then the bull kind of looked at me, and I ran right out, jumped out of the ring as fast as I can. But it was a pretty crazy sight to see, pretty crazy experience. The real party starts once the guy gets thrown off, and everyone's running across. They're trying to. Then the horses come out, and they lasso the bull, which was another crazy thing to see how skilled these cowboys were. They're on a horse, and they're doing circles around the bull, so that they're riding the horse good. They're circling. They got to worry about this freaking monster. These bulls are freaking gigantic. They got to worry about these gigantic bulls attacking them, And then they're with their rope, and choom, they get it right around the horns. It changed basically every time, clockwork. It was holy shit, was that crazy? That was a pretty crazy experience. Pretty eye-opening. And I guess there's no hospitals down there. There are hospitals. I can't imagine the healthcare is too great in Costa Rica. It's a third world country. People seem to be, there's a lot of poverty down there. So I don't know about the healthcare. I don't think that's the place you want to get beat up by a bull, get gored and tossed around, stomped on. So I was pretty. I guess it was good that no one got too. But it was at the time. Everyone's all happy, cheering, hey, hey, and bands playing. But I'm sure the second somebody gets it from that freaking bull, things get serious real freaking quick. Didn't get to witness it, but it was pretty wild. But yeah, that was my week. Went scuba diving on my birthday. That was pretty cool. Went out in Tamarindo, which is the town in Costa Rica. That's where like all the bars are. There's a place Sharky's, which is probably the best. I had the best time at Sharky's. One of the guys recognized me from the fight, so the bartender. One of the bartenders recognized me from one of the fights, so he was. We had like our own VIP section. There's no VIP section, but he brought us behind the bar, and our VIP section was behind the bar. And people were kind of trying to order drinks from us. We were like, I don't know what the. We were just partying behind the bar. It was pretty cool time. And it's amazing that few people recognize me down in Costa Rica from the fights. It's that they also the Khabib fight, and it's pretty wild that you can be halfway across the world and just from I think fighting more so is like more worldwide. I don't know. Did people watch? I guess they watch basketball and other sports and stuff, but I think fighting is watched all around the world, and people definitely appreciated the sport and what goes into it. What great people the Costa Ricans are. Smiling, they're always happy. People, they just love. Yeah, I guess because the tourists bringing them a lot of money, and I'm gonna say half the country works, in tourism, just showing people around, or they have their own little niche. Every Costa Rican has their niche, if they're good fishermen, they teach people. They bring the tourists on their fishing boats. If they're good surfers, they make their money by teaching surfing lessons at the resorts or at the the little surf stands. It was pretty. Costa Rica is definitely on the list. That's definitely on the list. If you haven't been there, you got to go there. We went to the volcano one day. Rode up the mountain on horses, and then got in the inner tubes and went down the river. There was a few of the rapids and a few waterfalls that you had to really lean back and hold on because you went over them. It was intense. And then zip lining. My girlfriend and the rest of them. My girlfriend and John Drucky, they went zip lining. Me, I was like, fuck this. I'm not zip lining. I don't know. I don't really know if I trust these Costa Rican guys that much. They're pretty trustworthy people, but there's two lines connected by trees. One tree is another tree, and you go across, zip across, and it's, I don't know how freaking high, but it's freaking high. So I said, fuck that. I'll watch you guys. Cervezas. Me and Patty drank cervezas, and we took videos of them while they did the zip line thing. Heights really isn't my thing. I don't know. My feet were made for the floor. I can get in a cage and fight a guy in front of a freaking million people, but heights, I don't know. I don't like the feeling. It's not really my thing. I don't know. But it was that was a good time. They do mud baths. There's like a spa with the natural pool. It gets up to like 300 degrees or something like that. They have to cool the water off so you can get in, but it's a natural spring. It's like heated pool from the volcano. We did that. We did a mud bath. You put the mud all over you and hop in the water. It was pretty fun times. That's my Costa Rican experience. And then we got kicked off the plane on the ride home because we were too drunk. So
I'm sorry to erupt with laughter, but what happened? Like, usually you hear about these things on like CNN.
Yeah. It was very close to being on CNN. I think these guys almost got beat up pretty good. Me and my girlfriend were drunk. On our layover, we got a little tuned up. Couple mimosas led to a couple shots of tequila, and then it led to a couple more shots. So I was pretty banged up. And we were arguing about nonsense, but it didn't even seem like that. I was pretty banged up. So I guess I was being pretty loud and obnoxious. I don't know. But then we get on the plane. I think that was online. When we were waiting online, we were kind of getting obnoxious, and then we get on the plane, and I'm just relaxing. I'm there. I'm ready to fall asleep. I'm like closing my eyes, getting ready to fall asleep. That's my thing. I sleep on planes. I don't know. I'm pretty good. I usually fall asleep before the plane takes off, and if everything works well, I'm asleep when we land. But not this time. They came over and they tapped me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Sir, we're gonna have to talk to you guys outside." So I was like, "Oh, I know how this fucking goes." I was like, "Dude, we'll talk here. You're not getting me off the plane. I got a podcast to do." But they weren't having it. So they called the cop, and the cop came, and when I saw him, I said, "All right, I'm not fucking around. I'm not trying to go to jail anytime soon." So I walked off, and then I let that freaking guy have it. I told him, I said, "Bro, what the fuck? I was about to go to sleep. I was on the plane, They said, "Oh, they saw how intoxicated you, whatever." I was like, first off, I'm fine. I'm not, I was pretty banged up, but nothing out of the ordinary, nothing. If you saw me walk by, you wouldn't be able to tell that I was drunk, I'm not starting fights with people. You guys are starting with me. I was being nice. Everybody was being nice. I just came from Costa Rica. We're the nicest people. Those guys are the nicest people in the world. So I don't know. I feel like that was some nonsense. I don't know. But we ended up staying. So that was in Miami. We ended up then. There were no other flights out, so we had to stay the night in Fort Lauderdale, where the next flight out was the next morning, this morning, at whatever it was, not 9 o'clock in the morning. So that was the a crazy experience, crazy ending to a crazy trip, and I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
We're happy that you're not broadcasting live from a Miami or Fort Lauderdale jail cell. So it's good to talk to you.
It was close. It was close. This guy was being pretty obnoxious, and I'm sure I was being a little loud, but I wasn't bothering. I wasn't. I wasn't. It's not like no one told me to do anything. Be quiet, or you being loud or something.
Hey, don't take offense to this, Al, but you're kind of loud in general.
Yeah, I don't know. So then they don't kick me off the plane all the time. So I was just being normal me. I don't know. My girlfriend wasn't happy with me. She was letting me have it a little bit, and I probably wasn't taking it the best. So we went back and forth a little bit, and they weren't having it on American Airlines. So we came back JetBlue.
There you go.
That was it.
There you go. I mean,
that was that.
You got a free night in Florida, though. I mean, maybe not free night, but you got a night in Florida. You got to make the most of it.
Basically, just slept. Whatever I got the closest, cheapest hotel room, and I just slept. So we paid, I don't know, $79 to sleep. Woke up and got on the next plane. It was what a hassle that was. I don't know.
I guess it's a good thing we didn't have to read about it on TMZ, so that's good.
No, it was. I think it was close because these guys were pretty obnoxious, and they were acting like tough guys too. It was actually pretty funny. they escorted us out of the hotel. I mean, of the airport with tasers in their hands. I was like, this is overkill. There's three guys escorting us out in tasers, and somebody walks by and they go, "Raging Al, yo!" I was like, "Yo, what's up?" And he must have been like, "What the fuck?" Iaquinta's getting taken out on what the hell did he do? He got three guys with taser guns escorting him out of the Miami airport. That was pretty. That's pretty interesting.
Hey, what about your bags? Do your bags stick around, or did they go on without you?
Oh, they got on without you. We landed this morning.
Oh no! Hold on. Here. I think it might be better. No, hang on. We got some Skype issues over there. All right, now we're better.
So, yeah, no, the bags they end up they don't wait for you. The bags ended up in New York. They have a holding room, I guess, where they hold all the bags that are checked or whatever. Don't get don't get claimed. They have a room, so we go to the room and we get our bags, and that was it. But yeah, their bags go ahead. Crazy. But I let that fuck guy know. I said, "You're kicking us off this plane for nothing, man." I said, "Yeah, you must be having a bad day, and you're lucky that I don't feel like getting arrested, because I would knock you out way faster than you would hit me with that taser from where you're standing." But he was acting so tough, such a tough guy. But
do you generally have a problem with authority, or do you get along with people that have authority?
You know what it is? I get along with. I bite my tongue. I even if I'm wrong, I just know. It's like you get pulled over. Even if I get pulled over for something stupid, so hi officer, sorry officer, I didn't. I'm always very polite. And then it gets to the point where, you know what, fuck this, you're going to be a fucking asshole, fuck you, and I'm going to tell you, and I really just kind of lose it a little bit. But it's to that point, I'm always really nice, respectful, and then if they keep, if I'm being respectful, even if I was wrong, I'm being respectful, I'm being nice, I'm admitting to fault, and you just keep on me like that, gets to the breaking point, and then I'll let them have it. I'll tell them exactly, and I think even though they have their power and whatever, they know, and they feel it, and they just but no, I'm gonna say 99.9% of the time I am, and I think people that know me know that. If I treat people the way they should be treated, and sometimes I treat them nicer than they should be treated, but it gets to a point where if you're just clearly an asshole, then there's no reason for me to keep being nice, and it's almost like, that's it.
What's that old saying? All is well that ends well. So
all is well that ends well. We're back to work. We're back on Long Island. I got off the plane and I took some pictures for a house that I'm listing this week and down the block in East Meadow, New York. This house is sick. It's got the basement. I want to buy this freaking house. It's got the basement has a full bar. It's got a full arcade. A lounge area with two TV screens, a gigantic couch, pool table. It's just sick. The backyard has a gigantic pool with a full deck.
Damn.
And it's nice, and it's gonna go quick. I'm happy. I'm very excited about this. I'm gonna do an open house. This weekend, and see what happens. Should be a good good quick deal, good sale. You know,
if anyone's listening that maybe in the market for a house like this that are in your area, how would they go about getting information?
You can. Anyone interested in anywhere in the country, if they're interested in buying or selling, I can help you out. At Iaquinta on Twitter, at Iaquinta on Instagram, or Raging Al Realty at yahoo.com. So it's boom. If you're in the market, I'm your guy, and I'll make it happen. You know.
There you go. You didn't happen to watch Invicta when you were in Costa Rica, did you?
I didn't.
Don't worry. I called a fight that had the most grotesque injury I've ever had to call before. It was a weird injury. This lady threw like a push kick, and the girl like blocked it like this with her hands, and it snapped her ring finger in half, and the bone came right out the skin. Nasty.
I did. I saw that on Twitter. I saw the picture of. I saw the picture of the injury. Oh man, yeah, no, that looked pretty brutal.
Yeah, I can't look at that stuff. I was like, I don't even know what I said on the broadcast. Probably something that I shouldn't have said. Like, oh my God, I can't look at that.
Yeah, no, that was when things like that happen. It's just, I hate seeing it. Especially because I hate. Like what happened to Anderson Silva. Holy shit! I didn't want to throw a kick for months. You know what I mean? I was like, that was those leg break videos, and the finger ones when they jam a finger and the bone goes through. Oh,
what was sort of crazy for me? Her name was Julia Avila. She was like kind of like playing around with it and laughing and not acting like a normal person would when something like that happens. Obviously, the adrenaline's going, but my gosh, she was way too laid back and cool about it.
Yeah. I mean, of course, adrenaline. You get that adrenaline rush, and I would guess you kind of go into like a shock a little bit.
Right.
But I think she's a little sick in the head. She's usually the girls, they kind of freak out with stuff like that. But she's a certain kind of freak out. She's a certain kind of sick to act like that. Yeah, that's. Ugh.
I just remember when Chael Sonnen fought John Jones and his toe came out. He was like in the moment talking to Rogan, but once he saw that the bone was sticking out, he kind of lost it a little bit. That wasn't the case with Julia Avila.
Yeah, no, that was even that was pretty crazy. Remember that?
Yeah.
His toe freaking. So how this fight ended like that, right?
Yeah. It looked like her finger actually just came out of the glove for a brief moment, and the referee intervened. And then when he got to see it, he was like, "Okay, yeah, this is over." Yeah, it was gnarly, man, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. I mean, John. You go into shock and you don't even realize it. John Jones, the same thing happened to him, and he didn't even flinch until he realized what was going on. And that, imagine how crazy that was. If that would have went to the, if that fight didn't, wasn't it? If it didn't get stopped right there, they might have stopped it, and he could have lost that fight because of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it would have gone to the end of the round or whatever, there's no way they were gonna be able to hide that.
No way.
Hey, what's the worst injury you've ever had, like period, and the worst injury you've sustained in a fight?
The worst injury I've ever had was, I mean, I've done a lot of damage to my knees, but it just, it's like stuff that needs surgery and it swells up. But I'd say breaking my hand. When I broke my hand, I was like the Nutty Professor, the clump. I had the clump hand. I took my hand was fine when I knew it was probably broken or pretty fractured somewhat. But I took the hand wrap off. They cut. It was in a fight in ring combat. I hit the guy right here on top of the head.
Oh yeah.
I ended up winning the fight, doing more grappling. I ended up taking him down and finishing him from like the back mount with strikes. But they cut the hand wrap off, And the second they took it off, I just saw my hand swell up, and it was like the Nutty Professor hand. I was like push on it, and it was like memory foam. I would push it, and it almost stayed there for a little bit. It was so that like swelling. It was that was probably the most gruesome, I think. Yeah, I think that was about it. I think that's about it. I can't even a bunch of stitches and stuff, but
Sure.
I think that was about it. You know?
It's kind of weird, like when you get hurt in a fight and you know you're hurt, but you can't let anyone know because the athletic commission will pull you right out of there and then you lose. It happens all the time with guys in broken hands. I remember, I think it was Uriah Faber fought Mike Thomas Brown in the WEC, and he had 2 broken hands, and he was still able to make the distance.
He broke both his hands, and yeah, I mean, I think even people knew during the fight that something was wrong.
Right.
With his hands, because he wasn't throwing punches, he was just like throwing all elbows. But you never knew exactly for a fact that his hands were broken, you know what I mean? He knew that something was wrong with them. He knew probably broken, and it hurt to throw him. So he was just throwing elbows out there like crazy. That was pretty intense, you know. He ended up and he made it the distance, but that guy was that was crazy.
Hey, tell me what it's like when you get through a fight and then adrenaline wears off. Like, when do you start feeling all of the little things post-fight that you don't normally feel mid-fight?
Hopefully by the time the adrenaline wears off, you're drunk enough to not feel it. That's the goal.
Right.
You got to go out. You got to get hit the bottle right after the fight and before the adrenaline really sticks up. But no, it's you know, it's like a gradual kind of thing. You know, you'll feel like the big injuries. Oh, excuse me. Just getting off the plane. I guess I am a little jet lagged. Holy shit! I don't know. But no, you feel the big injuries like right away. Like if you tore something, you're gonna feel it maybe a couple minutes after the fight, after you leave the cage. But then as time goes on, you're like, you start discovering things like, oh, why does my elbow hurt?
Right.
Oh, that's right, he kicked my elbow. You're like, oh, why does my shin hurt? Oh, that's right, this thing, I got hit here. But yeah, so it's like a sliding the sliding scale of pain after the fight. You feel the big things right away, and then you just keep discovering things as time goes on and time goes on.
I find it funny. I mean, it's funny because they're okay and everything's fine, but like when someone's in like the co-main event or the main event of a UFC, they have like fight of the night, just back and forth war, and then the broadcast ends and they get up on the dais for the post-fight press conference when they've sat there for a little while, and then the press conference is over, they try to get up and it's like, oh, they're not the same person, feeling-wise that they were when they sat down, because that lactic acid started to build up, the adrenaline's worn off. That's when I think a lot of those guys really start to come to grips with how well or unwell they are after a fight when they get off that dais for the post-fight press conference.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. That's definitely because it probably takes like a half an hour, so you're up there for a half an hour talking and kind of just your mind somewhere else, and then once you get up, done. It's like the doctor right after the fight. The doctor checks you out and he asks you about everything, and I'm always like, geez, my whole body, I feel like Superman right now. Right after you're done fighting, all that adrenaline and everything, you really don't feel too much. But then they give you like 30, they give you 30 days to report anything, and they keep popping up. Things keep popping up. So it's definitely it's. There really is nothing. There really is nothing like that. I don't know. It's the craziest thing. I mean, you see these guys in like I mean, I don't know, like basketball players don't get it. They must not get any adrenaline in their game because
Right.
they get a little like this and they're like like get some adrenaline, bro.
They're also super protected though. Like their owners don't want to let them risk any sort of injury because it's not just that year that they're worried about, it's subsequent years and a multi-million-dollar contract. It's like in baseball, you bump your head one time and they worry about concussions for 6 months. I mean, they don't even get hit as hard as you guys do in the Octagon, one time in one game over the course of what you guys take in, one round, and they're out for months.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's funny that I always laugh, especially with the soccer players taking dives. You know what I mean? It's like MMA fighters. There was a meme that I saw, or I don't even know what it was, a meme or one of those things. When it was who was it? Was it like LeBron James or something? I don't know, or whatever. And it was like this guy's he acts like he's hurt. He gets hit, and they showed. I guess he had a little cut, and he acted like he was hurt and he was out for whatever. And then MMA fighters, they'll be freaking gashed across their face, and they obviously know they're hurt, but they have to act like they're not.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it's
one thing I'll say in like soccer or whatever, it's like gamesmanship, right? You're trying to like fish for that yellow card and get the other team in trouble to where they might lose a player and then your team's up. But like, have some respect, man. Like you have an isolated camera on you at any second of the day when you're out there on that field. Like if you're taking a flop and you didn't even get touched, like someone's going to call you a bitch immediately.
100%. And then the other thing is like, aren't the refs catching on to that? Like, I think if they got like the reputation, I want to see the fucking soccer player with the reputation of I'm not fucking going down. You know what I mean? I'll never take a dive. And then when some shit really does happen and there should be a penalty called, it's going to get called. But I think these guys, they cry wolf all the time, and then it's like, Jesus Christ, did he really kick him, or did he really, did he really foul him in basketball? It's the acting, the acting school. They must have good acting school over there.
I think the hardest athletes though out there, like when it comes to not flopping, probably hockey players. Like, I mean, yeah, they take dives, but sometimes, I mean, those guys get crushed into those boards, and sometimes they continue to play, other times they can't. But like, I don't know, hockey seems like a hard sport to do.
Those guys are the best. They're freaking stitched up, and they go back and they're missing teeth. They just go right back in the game. Freaking basketball players can learn a lot. They should make basketball more like hockey. Let them body check each other. Yeah, that'd be more exciting. You freaking touch a guy on the head, it's a foul.
Right.
They should do they should do that. They should go a little more hockey style. Let them throw their bodies around a little bit more. They're getting paid that much money. Let LeBron James get thrown on the ground. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a beast. He should be throwing everyone. That LeBron James should never get fouled ever. He should be fouling the shit out of everybody. Guy's the biggest. He's the big, strong. He's big, strong guy. You're getting fouled, like getting hit in the head. I'd be like embarrassed. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's not even that they get hit in the head. Like you touch their wrist when they're taking a shot, and it's like that's a foul. Like I played basketball up until like 8th or 9th grade, and I fouled out of every game because I don't even understand the rules. You touch these dudes, and the ref calls it. And it's like, what did I do? I pushed him a little bit. Come on.
It is. It's like if your goal is to get it in the hoop, my goal is to let you. If I got to hit your wrist a little bit,
right? I mean, I'm not tackling the guy.
I mean, it's basically kind of like an agreement. It's a fight. They're fighting. It's like me saying, I'm going to fight you and you're going to fight me, but I'm going to agree to this. My rules, the rule set is I'm going to dribble the ball, and whoever wins the fight is whoever gets the most points in the basket, in the hoop.
Right.
And then there's more, and then the other rules are, but you can get the thing in the hoop, but you can't hit my wrist. And but you got to you can't take 3 steps without dribbling. Okay, I won't do that. We'll do this. We'll do this. So it's basically an agreement to fight under the most specific. Sports, I guess, in general is like that. Sports is, you're agreeing to fight with, to see who's better at the sport, which is, determined by the rules, broken down into the littlest, the littlest thing that sometimes is just really, really hard to understand. Like people trying, if you didn't grow up in America and you're trying to learn football, good luck. I mean, there's so many little rules you get downs, and there's
Right.
so many little things that are determined they determine who scores more, and whoever scores more is the winner, and they're the dominant one, the champion. They move on, and you can't beat them in this sport. It's interesting.
Well, I'm not saying that like football is boring by any means, because I enjoy football. It's awesome, but like, dude, it's like 8 seconds at a time. Like if you're not from America and you watch football, like it doesn't make any sense, because it's stop, start, go very quickly. It's over and rinse and repeat. Something like rugby, though, dude, rugby is intense, and that shit never ends.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much rugby, but yeah, they're football players without the gear on is pretty intense. I wonder what the injury rate is in rugby.
From what I can tell, the brain injury, and granted we're still learning more and more about this every year, but like the traumatic brain stuff over there is not nearly as much as it is in football. And what I think we're starting to realize is rugby players don't have that false sense of security with pads and helmets, so they're not going to run into each other leading with their head, where the NFL literally for a long period of time those athletes were taught to tackle that way. So I would really sort of be interested in seeing what a modern day NFL game would look like if they went back to the old days where they were wearing just like a leather helmet or very minimal padding.
Oh, that's true. That's actually really true. I wonder what it's kind of like MMA. If you took away the gloves, would it be a little safer? You'd probably get more broken hands, but you wouldn't be able to just wing crazy punches at people's heads. And similar to boxing too, they have they're wearing gloves so it looks safer, but are they getting that traumatic brain injury when they're getting knocked down and getting back up, and they're taking more and more blows with the glove? Whereas in MMA, you take one clean shot, or you get hit and put down. That's it. Even though the gloves aren't as big, you're taking less overall damage because you're kind of getting right to the point.
Right. I'm curious. This is like a sports science question, but maybe we could figure it out. Like, I wonder what your like PSI on a punch is in an MMA glove compared to the PSI of a punch in a 12-ounce boxing glove, because in MMA we see a lot of punches land clean and guys walk through it, but in boxing, when you get a real hard clean shot, you usually go down. And I know that in MMA you take a lot less overall punishment, but I'm curious that if in boxing, because the glove is heavier, is the punch necessarily diminished, or is it even harder maybe because you do have more weight behind the punch because it's padding? I don't know, padding or not. I won't want to get hit with it, but I'm wondering if there's maybe a misnomer about the idea that the punch doesn't land as hard or you can take more. I'm not exactly sure about that.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see. I think it's really just about accuracy, no matter what kind of glove you're using. As far as like putting someone's lights out, you hit them. You hit them on the jaw. The jaw is not meant to be hit. Hit them, behind the back behind the head. That's gonna mess their equilibrium all up. But yeah, it's that's an interesting topic. Whether what kind of damage a boxing glove does is compared to what kind of damage an MMA glove does. And for that matter, what kind of damage it would do for the bare knuckle?
Yeah.
You got to be a lot more. I think, Joe Rogan always talks about that on his podcast. Like he thinks that if true in the essence of martial arts and everything, they should get rid of the glove. It just it's more appealing to I guess the untrained eye, as far as it looks more like it looks less brutal.
Right. Sure.
The boxing glove looks less brutal than the MMA glove.
Right.
And an MMA glove looks less brutal than the the bare knuckle.
Right.
But I would think you'll probably see some more broken hands and stuff, but I think it would force people to be a lot more technical with their striking.
Sure. Another thing that I think about too is like knees to the head of a grounded opponent. I think they need to be made legal. I think it would change a lot of stalling, a lot of miscommunication. Like the idea that you put your hand down and you get kneed in the head, is that really against the rules? Well, some places it is, some place it isn't. But I got to believe that if you have a good tie clinch and you land a knee square on the button, that's just as hard, if not even harder, than if you're on all fours sprawled out on a guy who shot in on you and you knee him there. And plus, like if you're sprawled out you got pancaked on and your opponent's kneeing you in the head, like either the fight's going to be over or you're going to move. Like, I mean, a lot of people talk about, it would be bad, all these fights would be stopped. Like very rarely in the Pride Fighting Championships did you see knees to the head and the floor end a fight. I mean, yeah, it happened, but it wasn't, something that you saw every single card. Now, I'm not a proponent of soccer kicks by any means, but I just think that the ebb and flow of a fight, we'd see a lot more action if you were able to knee the head of your grounded opponent in the octagon.
I like the soccer kicks. I think the soccer kicks, those. I think that Pride was the best. Fuck, Vanderlei Silva kicking people,
Yeah.
And then who was it? Was it Igor Velchantin used to throw the knees from one? When people would sprawl out on him.
Yeah, Heath Herring was really good at it. Like Heath, I think, had one of the better knee attacks on the floor.
Yeah. It speeds up the game. If you're down there, if you shoot in, first off, you're not taking a sloppy shot.
No.
And if you do, you're going to finish it. You're not waiting down there and kind of defending the choke. You're defending the choke, and then you're moving, because once he's not choking you, he's kneeing the shit out of you.
Right.
So it definitely speeds up. It speeds up the pace of the fight, and it just gets to the end result quicker. I feel like.
Yeah.
It just adds a new dynamic, and what's the difference whether you get kneed on the ground or whether you're on your feet and getting kneed? You really, it's the same thing. It goes back to that visual appeal to, make it look not as brutal.
Right.
At first the ground and pound was like, you're hitting a man when he's down. It's like, well, it's not. Boxing gave it such a look like, it's almost like unhonorable to try to go to the ground and beat someone up. You should, like a street fight, you don't go to the ground. You keep it standing. Why the fuck would you want to do that? We're in a fight. We're fighting each other. For whatever reason, I'm gonna let you up and then keep fighting. It's like you hurt him. You put him down and you finish the job. Get it done.
Right.
I think that the knees and the soccer kicks should be allowed just like Pride, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I think, we're at a point now where it's pretty set in our ways.
Sure.
Except for the rule, the unified rules. It seems like every state, every commission has their own, rule set or their weigh-in, protocol. They do their weigh-ins. Like in New Jersey, you have until 11 o'clock. In some jurisdictions, you can weigh in 10 times before 11 o'clock. But in some states, you only get one turn to weigh in, even if you weigh in at 9 o'clock. But the weigh-ins end at 11. You can only step on the scale once, or sometimes you can't twice. And it's just like, well, everyone's got their own little rule set, and geez, they just all come together and excuse me. Ugh.
You're sleepy.
Freak! We turned on the podcast and it was like jet lag. I think just hit me.
What's later for you? I mean, I'm out here. It's mid-afternoon. It's like early evening for you out there on the East Coast. So I'm not mad at you. I don't think it's indicative of my company. I don't think I'm boring you to death.
That's not it. Absolutely not. So I apologize to everyone out there watching. I freaking yawning like an idiot over here. But I don't know. I'm tired. I'm allowed to be tired.
All right. Hey, we can make our way to the exit here, but why don't we get your picks on some of the fights coming up this weekend? It's Mother's Day, by the way, which is I haven't really told my wife yet that I might not be able to celebrate because I got to watch fights this weekend, but we'll figure that out.
That one.
Yeah, we got Amanda Nunes defending her title against Raquel Pennington, bantamweight title on the line. Any thoughts on this one now?
Nunes is tough. She's gonna have a tough time ahead of her, but I think Raquel Pennington always surprises me. She always I don't know. I always kind of think that sometimes she's gonna get outmatched or outworked somewhere. She ends up coming through with some wins. So I don't doubt her at all. But Amanda Nunes is she's the real deal. I'm looking forward to that one. Definitely
I'm super stoked for that fight. The one thing that I'm a little bit worried though about Pennington is she hasn't fought since I think November of 2016. So it's been a long layoff leading into the biggest fight of her career. So I'm probably not the most ideal time to get the title fight, but I mean, you know more than anybody when someone says, "Hey, you're in the main event for a title," you got to answer that call, right?
Fuck it, you got it. Go in there and do your thing, and it'll be a life changing evening for her. I hope the best for her. She was at the press conference that they did at UFC Brooklyn. They did the 25-year thing, the press conference. I talked to her for a little bit. She's such a nice person. It felt like we. I maybe I talked to her once or twice before, but it felt we just had. She's just such a nice person. I felt like I had known her for a lot longer. It was a pleasure talking to her. So I think I definitely rooting for her and hoping the best for her in the fight for sure.
The co-main event I think is a fantastic fight. It's Ronaldo Jacare Souza. He takes on Kelvin Gastelum, a middleweight fight. Kelvin sort of carving himself out a nice little spot at 185, but I mean he's clearly not the biggest guy in that division. And if anyone has ever stood next to Jacare, holy crap, that man is gigantic. Like his shoulders alone look like another human being altogether. I think this is a fun fight. I think skills-wise they match up quite well, but I just have a hard time thinking that Jacare is not going to be able to outsize and maybe bully Kelvin a little bit should this fight take place in the grappling game.
Yeah, I mean, Jacare is tough. Jacare is tough everywhere. It's a good fight. Kelvin, he pushes the pace. He's going to be definitely pushing the pace of the fight, and I think he's going to most likely want to keep it on the feet. But he probably won't be too scared to take down Jacare. Jacare's his stand-up game is getting better and better. He's knocking people out. He's taking them down and he's ragdolling them on the floor. He's putting it all together. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Kelvin, like you said, he's small, but he works hard throughout the whole fight. So he puts pressure on guys and that can wear people down, especially if they're bigger. I mean, I would say if it goes to the ground, Jacare's gonna get him, but I think he'll have a good shot at keeping it up on the feet and outpointing him. Maybe even looking to land a nice combo like he did with Bisping and then finish the fight from the feet. So we'll see. That's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one for sure.
Yeah, the fights go down in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil this weekend, and very well could be the swan song for Vitor Belfort. Former champions collide as Vitor takes on Lyoto Machida. This is an interesting fight. I hate to say that I hope someone retires, but Vitor is done it all at this point, and it would be fitting for him to have this final fight against Lyoto in Brazil. We'll see what happens. That should be fun to take a look at and pay attention to, because I do believe that this will be the night that Vitor Belfort says goodbye.
Has he said that he's going to be retiring after this fight? I'm not sure.
The promos make it look that way. I think he has alluded to it. I mean, even if he says this is definitely my last fight, I've been following mixed martial arts for far too long to ever take a fighter for their word.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say a guy like Vitor. I don't think he's retired yet in his career so far. So I'm gonna say if he says he's retired, he's probably not gonna be retired. He'll probably come back at some point because it's tough to lose that, that the build up to the fight, the training for the fight, the focus. I don't think I've ever been as focused in anything in life as when I have a fight coming up, and it's like the ultimate challenge. There's a guy out there training to beat you up, and he wants to win, and you want to win, and you're matching each other. It's intense. Right.
When a fighter says they're retired, I always kind of look at the result of the fight that they just had, because I hate to say it, like, you always want to see a fighter go out on a win, but it's almost better, like, if they're really going to stay retired, if they get their ass beat a little bit, because you go out there, you knock somebody out, it's like, well, why do I want to stop doing this?
I just knocked someone out. Why would I want to hang them up? You almost feel like you have to keep going and see if he knocks out Machida. What's to say he can't put a string together of a couple more knockout wins or whatever, and
right.
He could be right there, and he's already got the he's already got the name, he's already got he's a fan favorite. So he puts a couple of wins together, they're gonna want to put him right back up there in the big fights and those main event slots. But you're right, he's been around forever, he's done it all. You only hope that he goes out on top, if he doesn't win, at least has a good showing, and goes out in Rio the way he's supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, the stars are aligned for Vitor Belfort, win, lose, or draw, to take off his gloves inside the Octagon, say goodbye in front of the Brazilian fans, and move on to whatever's next for Vitor. But never say never.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Machida's probably coming towards the end too. It could be. This could almost be like a retirement match. The winner keeps going. The loser retires.
Right, loser leaves town, I think they call it in pro wrestling.
What was it? Yeah, it's loser leaves town match.
Yeah.
This would be the fight to have it. Both these guys, they've both been around forever. They've done it all. They've put in more than enough time in this sport, and you hope to see them not overstay their welcome and take too much of a beating because they did stay too long.
Right. No, for sure. What else is going on? What are we gonna do? We gonna do this again next week?
Well, now we're back on schedule. Now we're back. We're ready to go, ready to rock and roll. We're selling houses. We're back in the gym. We're looking forward to hopefully hearing something about a fight coming up. Just waiting on the call. Getting back in the gym and putting in the work. I got a lot of work to do, and we're gonna get there. You know.
There we go. Somebody call Al, or wait, just call him Al. Either way.
Call me Al.
The preceding podcast was a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be directed to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.